Hey, how's it going, Pop-Up Camper family? Welcome back to It's Poppin'. So in this video, we're gonna show you how to set up a 2008 Jayco Select 12HW. I know it's a mouthful. Now, some of you Pop-Up Camper faithfuls may have seen our video on how we set up our 2008 Starcraft. So the reason we're doing this video is because A, the Jayco and at least that Starcraft have different lift systems, and B, this is a high wall, whereas that was your more traditional pop-up camper size. So as we go along here, we'll be sure to highlight some of the differences between our old Starcraft and our Jayco here. So first things first, of course, as I talked about extensively in our 20 Ways to Ruin Your Pop-Up Camper, clasps are first, and physically make sure that they're undone. We of course have 6 of them. You might have 4, but nevertheless, however many you have, double and triple check that your clasps are off the roof. So one of the first differences that we're going to notice between our Jayco and our old Starcraft is of course a lift system, like we said before. So one of the key differences is that you can actually, and this is for the Jayco, you can actually put down your stabilizer jacks before you raise a roof, whereas it's the exact opposite on the Starcraft, and that's due to the differences in the lift system. The Jayco here has kind of like a proprietary cable and pulley lift system, whereas the Starcraft had the Goshen lift system, which is comprised of, once again, pulleys and cables, but it also uses some springs and such. So completely different lift system, but if you have a Jayco, you can put down the stabilizer pads before you raise the roof. So now that we have our camper level, the stabilizer pads are down, and of course our roof clasps are off, we can crank up our roof. And this is one of the other key differences between the Jayco and the Goshen lift system. The crank, at least on ours, is located in the back. So you know the roof is all the way up when the cable is taut. This is probably one of the most frequently broken items on pop-ups that we see, so definitely make sure this is in working order so you know when to stop cranking. So next up, we are going to pull out our beds or our bunk ends. It's always good practice if you have a slide out like this to pull out your canvas or vinyl. That way you clear your slides and none of that canvas gets caught, kind of like, for example, like that, while you're sliding out your beds. So here's the point of no return if you need to get stuff out of your front storage box. If you can't access it from the side, it's a good time to do it. But nevertheless, in order to pull out our front bunk, which is a king size, we have 2 sets of stabilizers. The first one tucks in right there, and then indexes on the top there, and then same with the other side, just like that, which then enables us to pull out our bunk. Because this is a Jayco, another difference between the Jayco and the Starcraft, the canvas is not attached to the end here. So we keep our secondary supports right there, both on the front and, as you'll see, on the back. And these simply index, let's see here, right here. And then, that's where you need a little bit of leverage. Pop in right there, and of course same thing on the other side. So it's the same thing on the back, except we only have 1 set of supports because this is a queen. So back, grab out our supports, and this indexes in the back bumper, and then the angled part, once again, need a little leverage here, slides in there. So now we have our bunk ends out. Of course, next is our slide out. This particular slide out doesn't have any locks or anything. It's just pull it straight out until it stops. So next up, we are going to pop our canopies up. We of course have our dinette slide out, so we will take our shepherd's hook, index it between the screws, and I always like to kind of give it a little shimmy shake. And then under the valance here is where this tucks in and then over. So that is of course our dinette. Seen better days, but that's neither here nor there. Now next up we have our 2 bunk ends, but as you can see the canvas is kind of bunched up. So what I like to do in lieu of just like trying to pop the or force the canopy up is I like to go outside and like pull it out, untuck it, that way it goes up nice and easy with the shepherd's hooks. So next up is the door. Now our door is a little bit different than a lot of doors in the sense that it's a full length door. It isn't a half door, for example, like our old StarCraft. So first things first, it's got these snaps, and then it's gonna rest on these cables after you take the snaps off. So I kind of like to let it sit there and rest. And then it's got this turn, pop the clasp down, and then here's where it kind of gets tricky, and if you're doing it with just one person, but you lift up and out, and I kind of like to turn it slightly diagonally and then let it run along the root channel there, and then pop it as best as I can into place. Okay, so tucked behind our valance is this clasp thing that swings down, so we have to get that up and out of the way, and then we can kind of set the door more in place. Now ours has these riveted on, I don't even know what to call them, just turns that kind of lock the door into place. Same thing then on the bottom. And as you can see, the door is mostly in place now. So now what I like to do is step outside and make sure that the actually I can do it from the inside. Make sure the Velcro's out of the way. Close this up. And then our door has these slide locks. That kind of slides in and holds the top of the door in place. So finally, as the door is concerned, I like to pop this in as far as it can go, and then next, we just have these Velcro attachment points that work up either side of the doorway. And then our travel door here can actually lift up and out of place, and there's a handy dandy spot on the back that it can go into. So if I recall, it just slides into those points right there. And then there's another snap, and it snaps into place so it's tucked out of the way while you're camping. So while we're outside, we can take care of buttoning up the whole canvas. But before we do that, I want to point out a difference between the older Jayco lift system and, for example, the Goshen lift system. So the Jayco, you'll notice, has kind of these skinny roof lift arms, whereas on the StarCraft and any pop-up with a Goshen lift system, they're significantly thicker. They also have, normally, they come with 2 kind of safety bars that snap over your lift arms. Those are unique to the Goshen lift system, and you're not going to find these with the Jayco. With the Jayco here, you actually have your full-size door as your safety. So with that said, let's button up our canvas here. Of course, all four corners get covered up, and then as far as the bunk ends are concerned, I like to come to the front side, because as you can see here, there's a little piece of Velcro that goes up and under, and then the side flaps go just the same, but they button that whole thing up. So now as far as the slide out is concerned, it's pretty similar. Once again, just Velcro, and our slide out's kind of beat up, especially in that corner. But it also has a button snap right there, and that of course keeps water out of your slide out. So one of the things about our Jayco, being that it is a high wall, is unique in the sense that it doesn't have a flip up sink or swing up galley or anything like that stove. In our old StarCraft, for example, the stove would flip up from the door right here. It would index on the overhead light kill switch, and then we also had the sink that would swing up over there onto the countertop. So that's one thing that definitely makes the high wall different in terms of setup, which in our opinion is pretty nice. So the only thing we have to do for our Jayco here is put on our faucet, which is sometimes a little tricky. It's hit or miss whether I get it, but that's the only thing as far as setup goes. So as we wrap up setting up our pop-up here, a few more things to mention. If you have a rooftop air conditioner, there may or may not be a dedicated 20 amp outlet. Ours is conveniently tucked right here. So that just plugs in and our rooftop air conditioner is good to go. Now, of course, we also have a shower / cassette toilet combo over here. Now, setup for this is quite straightforward. We just lock that into place, and if you're going to be taking showers, of course, you're going to have some sort of shower curtain apparatus. Ours is custom made, as it didn't come with one when we bought ours, so I won't even go into this because it'll be totally different than whatever setup you have. But nonetheless, one of the cool things about the shower here is that you can hang the shower head right from the ceiling there. And finally, the slide out dinette. Now, of course, you can leave it in the configuration it's in if you're going to be using it as a bed. Normally we do not. So what we do is move out our cushions, pop up our back here, rinse and repeat on the same side, and just for example, then this will lift up. We have a bunch of stuff underneath, but the legs swing down and you can convert this into a nice handy dinette. And one more thing, just in case you have some of these fan light combos, these plug into the 12-volt jack right here, and then you can either put them on your shepherd's hook like this, so that way, I don't know, you can point the fan wherever you want, but it's nice and handy to have a nice overhead light. So thanks for coming along with us as we show you guys how to set up our 2008 Jayco Select 12 HW. It was great to get out here as the weather's getting better. It gave us the opportunity to, actually we haven't done it yet, but it's going to give us the opportunity to clean out our camper a little bit after it's been sitting all winter, after it went through the whole move. So we appreciate that. And if you have a StarCraft or a camper with a Goshen lift system, definitely check out the video, which we'll link somewhere on how to set up our previous 2008 StarCraft. So as always, guys, hopefully we see you in the next video. If not, hopefully we see you out there camping.